Hey, it's Daddy Steve. Please like and subscribe. Please click on the Deck Heroes icon. Click on subscribe. It's 100% free. Well, blood in, blood out. Also, remember to click on the notifications icon. Don't want to make this the best kept secret in the world. We've got lots of great and exciting content. Most of my views are reviews videos where I'm kind of commenting on what somebody else is saying and kind of have my own little kind of turn on it, my own like interpretation, especially if what they're doing or what they're saying is just an inference and there's nothing really substantive to back it up. And that's why I'm doing my channel to an extent, and hopefully you guys will get something from it. This video is actually about kind of like the different stages of life on reflection and the role of money and the motivation of men, and what we probably should be focused on, what our primary motivation should be at different stages. And yeah, I mean, let's start off. So you're in your 20s, so you're in your teens, say you're just kind of building those foundations. I mean, that is really what you should be focused on, is what you are focused on. I think there is something about kind of Western society and whether we are raising men to be husbands and focused on the right thing or not. You know what I mean? Or are we raised to play the field? And then once you've done that in your early formative years, I mean, when does that switch off? Is that a factor in kind of, does that explain a lot the more that you think about it? Are we focused on the main, are we raising our future men right, including ourselves basically? Are those the intrinsic things that our fathers should be passing down to us? You know what I mean? What do, not only fathers, what do our parents kind of pass down in terms of, in the West? What do our parents kind of pass down to us and what we should be looking for, given their kind of life experience and wisdom in terms of looking for somebody else? Do they actually advise us of anything generally? Or anything of note? Or was it just focused on the material, or just kind of the trivial things? Anyway, so that's a wider debate. I mean, I'll talk about the men, but obviously, are we raising women to be wives? You know what I mean? Are we raising people to be just balanced, reasonable, kind of positive-minded partners who want to build a constructive life together? Or on both sides, are we focused on the shiny things, the sparkly things, just kind of appearance? There are many levels to this type of thing, but I can only talk as a man. And I say early on, as I say, in early teens, all about foundations. Just focus on your longer term goals. Focus on your career, obviously, focus on your education. Financially, for most of us, we're not going to be anywhere at all, so we can't even think about like blowing all our money on somebody that we're just trying to attract. But we do find ourselves, and you will find, any young man out there, you will find yourself being drawn into that type of scenario. And that's not saying that just to be ultra tight. And as I say, I'm a man who's in his 40s now, so I'm used to that mindset. The brainwashing that we should actually take the lead in terms of finances for somebody that we haven't even met, that we don't even really know, we barely even spoke to, but at the same time we need to be kind of finance them basically. My name for this channel is Daddy Steve, right? Didn't even have kids. Is that the person that I was dating had so many expectations that I should pay for this and pay for that and pay for that, and I was in a long-term relationship with her, so it was kind of half jokey. But I just said, listen, I'm not your daddy. For goodness sake, I'm not your daddy, for goodness sake. And she was earning more than me. Work that one out. So, which is a different kind of conversation. But listen, core foundations as an older man to younger men out there, and any man out there who feels that in order to have a relationship is conditional on you spending a lot of money or money beyond your means, really. I'm obviously not talking to the Jeff Bezos of the world. Just don't do it. I mean, we know this, but I can see how men might chasing love or kind of have other drives and things like that. They may feel like, listen, if I have to finance it, then I will. But I say that will definitely make you kind of more beta than alpha. And I don't want to make alpha the dirty word of Chad. It's just kind of not kind of trodden upon, really. That's my context of alpha in this video. You know what I mean? So yeah, you're a young man, focus on your career, and really you're not going to be the odds are you're not going to be in relationships that are going anywhere anyway. And even as an older man, until you know that person, you're not in a relationship, but it's not anything that's going anywhere. You know what I mean? So, yeah, just live within your finances, is long story short. I was having a conversation with my partner yesterday talking about the whole finances and male female dynamics. And it is actually remarkable how things have not changed in the modern world, really. So, back in the day, women were made to be dependent upon men, and that is just not the case anymore. For the majority, yeah, fair enough. When you get kids involved and somebody's got to look after the kids, it's got to be one or the other. If that's not the woman, I don't know if the woman, going to Kevin Samuels, the late great Kevin Samuels, if it's not the woman, I don't know if that woman is going to respect the man. And I was speaking to my partner, and that was more or less, yeah, you're damn right. You know what I mean? So there are kind of the semi-traditional women who've got a slightly modern perspective on men and finances and men and traditional roles. I say, you know what I mean by semi-traditional, though. You know what I mean? In as much as, equal but not equal. Equal on selectively, equal on certain key things. But to be honest, I think most men do want to, or conditioned to want to look after their women in most situations and treat them and take them out from time to time. Just do nice things, just because you've got some kind of emotional involvement. And I think from experience, and obviously I've never been a woman, I don't really know, but I guess in return, so I did a video when there was a woman saying about when does a woman ever kind of like buy a shirt for a man or some perfume, or some Freudian, or some aftershave for her man. Okay, yeah, oh man, this will smell really good in you. How often does that happen? Thinking about how many times women have bought drinks from me. I mean, I'm not expecting them to, but you know what I mean, they would expect us to. But in my lifetime, probably less than 5. But anyway, so yeah, there may well be easily a situation where a man brings a lot to the table, basically, especially financially, in terms of keeping the roof over your head and a comfortable standard of living. But in a situation where the woman is the primary earner, I'm not sure that works the same way. I'm not sure it works the same way in terms of that respect piece. Doesn't a lot of the time. I'm just trying to think of examples where that happens, where a woman is happy financing a man. But there's plenty men that finance women. I was just talking about, and I will bring it back to the kind of like the stages of life and focus on money, but really it is the same argument or same kind of thread, in as much as no matter what stage of life, you cannot spend beyond your means, and if somebody's expecting you to, then they are not the person for you. And in the same mindset, before I talk about the other examples, I was going to say before, in the same example, there's a lot of videos out there about toxic people, you know what I mean, that we don't want to date, and that is exactly it. It's not about withdrawing from the whole dating market. It's about like kind of identifying people being toxic, and it is just toxic for me is people in that unreasonable zone. You know what I mean? So if somebody asks for something which is reasonable, of course it's reasonable, fair enough. Reasonable will usually be that they're asking for something that they will do themselves. You know what I mean? So if you're taking her out, then this is crazy talk now. Will they ever take us out as men, really? I mean, a lot of guys would never want them to anyway, which is fine. I don't really care. But at least at some point, surely they've got to pay their way, one way or another. Unless they're trying to take the pee out of you. Especially if you're on the same income, which most people, in my memory of all the people I know, the relationships, most people are on a level footing in terms of finances. So why would one side expect the other side to do everything financially or anything else? Especially if you're not going out yet. Here we are. So how do we kind of bring this situation about as men, if that is the dating market and that's what expected of us? I think in terms with an objective mind, we have to look at what women want at the end of the day. And we know this. So have to get your head around the fact that you will be paying for dates. get our head around the fact that you will be paying for dates. You're inviting her out, and the etiquette is, if you invite her out, then the expectation is you're going to pay. Of course, if she invites you out, you still pay. So, it is what it is. It is what it is. But as I say, objectively, you know that in order to have that lady's time, you need to treat her, and that's just the etiquette of how things are done. And in terms of objective thought, that's all you need to think about. The tolerant, but this is where we get into that whole kind of toxic people, whoever toxic ladies are. I'm not saying that all ladies are toxic. I'm talking about the ones that are identifiable as toxic to you, whoever's watching this video. If you think, oh, either no women are toxic or the ones that are toxic, the toxic ones are the ones that I'm thinking about. I'm not going to be jumping through hoops in every video or again about that same topic, but oh my gosh, anyway, you know what I mean now, right? Facts on what we're talking about with toxic. But anyway, if you're presented with a toxic lady, then obviously what you do is you don't entertain it, because it ain't going to go anywhere, and it hasn't got a chance, it never had a future. So you don't lose something that you never had. Okay, beyond that, just to go into this whole kind of toxic debate, toxic females, because I'm a man, that's what I'm talking about, toxic females. What is toxic? I don't want to get into the whole conversation about where it comes from, but seeing it for what it is, it's just another trait like anything else which we see as unagreeable, something that we don't want to be around. Don't. That's not to say we're withdrawing from the dating market, because the women that we want to meet are out there. If we had to identify the women, I was going to say, maybe it's more likely to be the gorgeous, stunning 9 out of 10s. I don't know the last time I saw a 9 out of 10. Most women are, good enough is, 7's really good. You know what I mean? So anyway, 7 plus. Say we're talking about 7 plus woman, from the attention and the ego feeding and things like that. And maybe simps that have just kind of overspent on her. Maybe she's kind of got an elevated sense of self, and maybe she just feels that she can get away with it, maybe, and that will happen if you open yourself to it. You know what I mean? I've seen guys do this plenty times. If you're a man that kind of leads on your income, which I've seen before many times, or you can't do enough to spend money on her initially and all that kind of stuff, then obviously you've set a precedent. You know what I mean? You've set that expectations yourself. You've made yourself the thing that's front of mind about money. So that's how it planned out. So own it. But beyond that, it's we've got to get past that superficial. So listen, people might want to put us into boxes about how much are we going to be a provider. In other words, how much are you going to spend on me? How much are you going to spend on me in this short term, which ignores the long term, which being mutually advantageous to us both? But now I want you to buy me some flowers or something. And as men, we've got to think about, say, that little balance about whether it's reasonable, her requests, whether it's affordable, and like ultimate goals as well. So you may well have to entertain that for a period of time before you get a stage where you may well have a chance of meeting in the middle, because as I say, the overall objective is to have a successful relationship. Again, I'm not talking about people who are toxic. Those are the ones you just got to leave alone. And I'm not trying to group all attractive women into being toxic, because there most definitely are some less than attractive women who think they can also, have demands, have excessive, what may well be considered from the vision of toxicity, that's what we're talking about, that they can demand anything at all. And obviously they'll be feeding into delusion. But anyway, the ones that we would consider, or whoever's watching this as a man who would consider as a potential partner, if they display that toxicity, then obviously you let that go. If it is within a particular bracket, then you've got to change things up, or things never change. Okay, so if it happens to be the most gorgeous girls who've got an inflated sense of ego and often get away with it, or they've got simps that have kind of, set expectations beyond what you can afford, then obviously you might just need to broaden your kind of net. Go to different places. You may not just meet her in the club. You might need to meet her out and about or online or social clubs or whatever, or for your mutual friends or the other channels in addition to that. And it's a numbers game, and maybe you get lucky. But what you kind of tolerate, or what you accept, is the things you're just gonna have to take in the chin. So yeah, if somebody's being unreasonable expecting you to pay for everything and you're not happy with that and you do, then that's on you. Otherwise, you've got to draw your own lines. The other thing I wanted to say was, I say in early life, in your teens, your 20s, your 30s, just don't lose track of being focused on your objectives, your kind of key variables of sustaining self and getting your stuff together, being independent and autonomous so that you can potentially look after a family. Because whilst we get drawn into, investing in the superficial, how many drinks do you buy or how many kind of glasses of wine and holidays and that, ultimately it's going to be, can you provide for her in a longer term sense? And you can't, if that whole investment pot of money has been squandered, and you can't allow that to happen. And as a man, you've got to take charge of yourself, really. You've got to see with a vision about where things are leading. And once you've blown your money and she's got hers, I mean, that's not going to make you any better. It's not going to make you feel any better. But that's down to you taking ownership as a man. That's more or less it on money. As an example, as this is broadening it out, that's an earlier thing I nearly hinted towards, was money is very important in the dynamic of a relationship, not just in terms of gifts. But I was thinking about and I was talking to my partner about men traditionally and always will look after a woman regardless of her income. They don't really care, to an extent. But women will never look after men and respect them, as I said. There's an actor, Idris Elba, met a gorgeous, lovely, I never met her, lovely seeming wife, but she was a waitress at the time, right? And that did not put him off at all. Now, you've got to think about how many examples you will see of some high-flying woman who would take a man who's just, has got personality on his side. Looks and personalities, put those together, which is what's going to happen. Was she going to take him out? I mean, how's he going to finance her lifestyle? You know what I mean? If she's a CEO somewhere, how's that going to work out? And if she's paying for him again, is she going to respect him? And if she doesn't respect him in her mind, then it's going to be really hard for him to stay in that relationship. There's a power imbalance there, whereas there's no power imbalance in the face of it with Idris, with a former waitress. Listen, she's a different woman now, and he's invested in her in a really kind of modern sense. He's a businessman. He set her up as a businesswoman now. She's in beauty and things like that, and that's a credit to her, and a really lovely woman from people I know that actually know her. So listen, this is not anti-her. I'm talking about women in general, and the concept of men, regardless of money, enabling the dreams of women, basically, and how that would unlikely to happen in return. And why is that? And I can't see how things are going to change, even in the new age of 2024 and equality, as we go into 2025. Just haven't seen it. But these are the reasons why we stay single, isn't it? Especially the ladies. So if their expectations are not changing, and they are expecting men who have equal means to finance their lifestyle or finance these trivial things, when what they are objectively thinking, they want to focus on more longer term things, not for spending on some crap for people they don't even know yet. As I said, for me, I would do that. I'll take people out. My first date, I haven't been on the first date for a long time, but on a first date, I'm only bothered about, do we get on? Is there a conversation? Is it positive? And I really am just looking at whether this person's good company or not. And is it kind of fun? And I'm not looking for them to kind of entertain me. It's just literally, how do they react? Just mindset type of things. And get some clue about expectations and whether people are reasonable, because what you ignore at the beginning is why you will break up in the end. I can't remember, I watched that on a video. Whoever you are out there, or whoever kind of coined that phrase were 100% right. As I say right at the outset, I think a lot of men don't really have clarity until kind of late stages, and just focused on that kind of attraction, especially that sexual attraction. And then at some stage, those intrinsic qualities will come through, but say that may well be too late sometimes. And again, we're not necessarily raising our men to be husbands, and focused on the key things, which is what I'm trying to add with this video. Again, I'm just trying to think of a woman that's fine. There's going to be a woman out there in the world that's financed a man, but there's plenty of men out there who are the key earners. I say even in my circle, and I want to branch it beyond my circle, I can't think of any women that have financed men. And I can't think of a man that would want to be financed by a woman, but yeah, I guess he would if it made sense. Let's just say that you're with, who was it now? What's her name? Bill Gates' daughter got married. Now you're not with her for her money, right? But if Bill Gates could make you, just give you a team and all the means in order to kind of make you a ridiculously powerful man and all the insights and stuff, well, we're going to say no? Of course you would. I mean, of course you would take him up on the offer. And if that came from her because she's the product of her father, then absolutely fine. Just trying to think of a logical reason why that wouldn't happen. It just would. And listen, there's going to be isolated examples of people on the extremes, men on the extremes, or men in particular cultures. I'm talking about British culture. I'm not talking about other random cultures somewhere in the world where men are just kind of like alpha, alpha, alpha. And I'm not talking about men of all levels, regardless. I'm talking about most men have got a balanced brain. And if people have selected well, then you go for men who've got balanced brains, basically, and you know where you stand with them on key facts. Anyway, I just want to end this video just talking about what are the things, I can only really talk about the things that I look for in a person. I'm very lucky to have found it, but what the things I'm looking for in a person are just positive and agreeable, I guess good values, but really I'm talking about kind of common values, really, and just being good company and attractive and sexy and educated and independent minded. These are the kind of key traits. And yeah, just somebody's a good life partner. And I think that's what we're all looking for, obviously, and to different extents, but absolutely. And just very lucky to find. I was out with one of my friends yesterday, day before. Listen, I'm happy in a relationship, so I'm fine. But was out yesterday, and he was talking to somebody at the bar. I was just kind of just observing, and when you get to a stage, or you feel you get to a stage, and it's like the Matrix, like an old film called The Matrix, and you just see the code, and you can fix people, or you just think, oh, that's why you're single. She wasn't trying to get common ground. She was trying to, on the face of it, give an example about how combative she was, and all the things that she wouldn't put up with. I mean, he just met her at the bar. I was standing behind him, so I hadn't even met her yet. I'm just listening. It's just like, and I just thought the whole kind of the dating career thing where men would just kind of nod and nod and nod, and you may well be kind of like discounting her from being like wifey. It's like people may well start off with that initial attraction, which may well be potentially at wifey level, but then the more they talk is like, nah. Then there's a point where people may be, especially men obviously, just thinking more sexually. And that'll be it. And that's why some people, the ladies obviously only ever get to a certain level. I'm not saying in every situation. I'm thinking about the situation that my friend was in. But I was just thinking, even back in the day, just because now I've qualified it, I'd probably just be thinking, yeah, she's not too bad. I'll be kind of assessing her as a man. I mean, I'm just this how basic I am. But think about what I find attractive about her. Is it her face? Is it her kind of shape? Upper half, lower half, all those things. And then once you get a little bit closer, it's like, well, actually, I'm not quite sure if maybe it's a false alarm, basically. What I saw was what the reality was, what I thought I saw. I was just kind of casting my mind back. But then, as I say, I was just listening to what she was saying about all these things she wouldn't put up with, and referring to other men, and a negative experience, and I've only just met this person, and there's that kind of negative kind of baggage that somebody's got, and it's just like that kind of need to kind of either, number one, heal self first, just to have some kind of balanced, positive optimism, but also just know what to really look in a man. You know what I mean? What they're actually looking for, and how to find this common ground. And it's not by being combative, and obviously that goes both ways. A man can't just be some idiot fool just talking crap to women. You know what I mean? Expect he's going to go anywhere. But as I said, if a woman does not know how to relate to a man or what a man is looking for, then she will always be a little bit frustrated about why things never kind of develop. And as I say, you may well start off thinking that she could be like wifey level, but the more she talks and the less you have in common and the more unreasonable she is, and there's a threshold there. That's the minimum threshold. And I'm not saying it's below. I'm not saying that she's not already below it. I'm just using threshold because I've only just moved my arm here. Anyway, so you may start off at wifey, and then it's, oh man, she hasn't got any conversation, but she's still pretty though. Oh, she's not quite as nice as what I thought she was. Maybe it's my eyesight. She's going down a little bit, and yeah, maybe she's just saying stupid things, and then you kind of get into this balanced thing, and then it's these kind of negative expectations, and oh, she lives too far, and you know, her goals aren't where we ain't, our destination goals aren't like in symmetry and interests and natural flow, as I said. And nah, but for her it was all about, in my point of view, just that just general negativity. And why do you want to be and live around negativity? Who's going to sign up for that? If she wasn't that gorgeous, and even if she was twice as gorgeous, she ain't going to still want to be around that kind of person on both sides. So men, in terms of how you're interpreted by women, again, don't go there talking about how much of a bad day you've had, like in a recent video that I saw, gave a comment on. You know what I mean? But you've got to have that kind of natural authority about you where you can draw boundaries just in a positive and respectful way. A non-emotive way, and just matter of fact. And if somebody will not respect your key red lines, then that's time to go. And it's not where you kind of draw a line and be disrespectful or anything like that. It's not even about getting peed off, if you want to put it that way. It's just a matter of fact. You rolled the dice, you tried to see if there was a connection there, which is the key word, and you know, there wasn't. Roll on. It's like, you know, best of luck, hope she finds her one, and you know, we will continue our search over here. That's absolutely fine. Was another example? Oh yeah, oh god, yeah, I ain't gonna mention that. Anyway, I think that's it. I think I'm gonna wrap it up there. Hopefully I gave people food for thought. I say I've got a lot of experience as an older man, and I've been a very active older man in terms of socially, and especially going clubbing in my early years, and more kind of cultured now, and kind of obviously not in the game anymore, but I've got a perspective on things which I think may well benefit others. We'll see. Anyway, please like, subscribe. There's Stephen about.